welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, sponsored by Motivate Training and Management. This is the podcast where we talk to drivers and industry experts to help you maximize your performances on and off the track. Let's get started with today's show. Hello guys, and welcome to episode 62 of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host, Belinda Risley, and today I am joined by Miranda Vattovaz. For those that know me and have been listening for a while, understand that I don't really like pronouncing the surnames because I always stuff them up. But hopefully, Miranda, I did get that right today. So that's Miranda Vattovaz from VAT Media. Miranda is a young, 22-year-old photographer, videographer who has a team of around 10 staff members these days, or freelancers that assist with her video and photography business. It basically started with one girl whose last name was Vattovaz. She placed a sticker on a former V car, and her goal was to create a business that focuses on tracking the personal journeys of individuals in their desired sports, hence Back to the Track. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fantastic episode with Miranda. You're going to hear all about VAT Media and their services and how you can basically do your own photography and videography at the track yourself, and what kind of images is best to have on websites and so forth. So really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please make sure you grab a pen, a pad, a cup of tea and sit down to enjoy. But before we get started, we have a fantastic Motorsport Coaching Podcast review from FlipperMad4646, who says, great content to help a rising motorsport competitors. Thanks, Belinda, for your insightful podcast. It's great listening to the different guests on your podcast that give valuable advice to aspiring drivers involved in motorsports. So thanks, FlipperMan4646. We'll get in touch with you and send you out one of our brand new Motorsport Coaching Podcast t-shirts. So look out for those guys around the track. Of course, if you do want one, head over to the Apple Podcast previews, write us a review, subscribe, and you'll get one of those shirts. It's easy as that. Of course, if you wanted to stay up to date with anything to do with motorsports, sponsorship, social media, public relations, media training, please head over and join a free Facebook group called Motorsports Sponsorship. Very easy for you guys to remember, and also will be in today's show notes. Also will be in today's notes the details for Miranda and VAT Media. So if you are looking to up your, videography at the track and to update your website, your social media accounts, and keep them in the back of your mind. As I said, guys, really hope you enjoy the show, and let's get started. Hey, Miranda, welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
It's about time, because I have been trying to get you onto the show for a little over the year because I love the journey that your business has been on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so thanks again. Let's start. How did you get started in motorsports?
So basically, I got started in motorsports back in 2017. And at the time, I was coming to the end of my bachelor's degree. And it's the moment where you have to decide, are you going to work in the film industry, or are you going to take a risk and start something by yourself? And so many of the people that I knew when I ended the course with started their own little film companies. And growing up, I've always had the need for speed. So at the age of 7, I was driving jet skis and on the back of Harleys. I was like a tomboy up until the age of 12. And at the time when I was completing my course, I had a friend that was into motorsports. And one day he said to me, come along and just take some photos of my race car. So I went to the Victorian State Series, took some photos, met a few people at the event. They really loved my work. And at the time I was kind of nervous because I was in a very male-dominated environment. I was like this little female with this little camera going to the event and taking photos. But what came out of that was VAT and my own business. So I started solo at the age of 20. And then from that event, started my own Facebook page, started the website, and people started to become interested in the photography aspect of everything. Videography didn't really pick up till a little bit later. But more people started coming on board, started getting interested in what I had to offer. And before you know it, I have a crew of 13.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In 3 years.
In 3 years. So by the end of 2017, we were lucky enough to be involved in the Victorian State Series again with 3 categories. And by then I had a crew of 6. So it just constantly started growing from 1 person to 6 to 13, which came later on in 2018 and 2019.
And so what did you study back in 2017? Was it
Bachelor of Film and Television.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a 2-year course at James T Academy. It's more of a private uni in South Melbourne, but it focuses on creative industries. So animation, singing and songwriting, film. It just delves into other how would you say it? Other areas that a university really wouldn't. So yes, that's where I win.
Fantastic. And so have you ever competed yourself or?
Not in motorsport.
Yeah.
I actually don't drive. Considering I own a business, considering I own a business that has everything to do with motorsport, I just don't drive myself. But I have competed in tennis. That was my big hobby, my big sport, because I started that at the age of 3 and I competed till I was 17. And then before that, I did dancing from the age of 6 to about 15 as well. So I competed in troupe, and if you've seen Dance Mums, it was very much like that.
So why have you never got your license? Like, obviously you've got to get to your event.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, I have all my hours. I've just got to go ahead and do it. And I'm kind of a very introverted person, and I've always got nervous about sitting that test because I feel like I'm going to muck up. So it's something I really have to do, and I will do it this year.
Yeah, well, I'm going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
So how do you get around to the tracks? Like, obviously not all of them are near public transport.
No. So I'm very fortunate enough. My creative director, Liam, does all the driving for all of us. So we all hop on board and we just go around in the one car. Yeah.
And so after your 2-year uni degree,
yes,
and getting that tap on the shoulder to come work for me or come and have a look at my car, you fell back in love with motorsports.
Yes.
How did you come up with the name of that track?
So that track was an interesting one. Basically, Mum and I were sitting in the lounge room one day and she said to me, oh, have you thought of any names? Like, obviously people love your work, are you going to do something about it? And then we were just thinking track. And we knew a lot of things that involve sport involve a track. So I'm like, okay, well, I want my company name to have a track in it because track. And then that, and I said to my mum, that track. And she's like, what did you say? And I said, that track. And then she's like, at the time, because I hadn't got it out there yet, don't say that to anyone, keep it secret. Because she thought someone was going to take it. I'm like, Mum, who would take that?
Yeah.
And then from that moment on, it just stuck, that track media. But before we came up with the media, we were like, oh, that track videography, that track photography. We went through all the options that it could be. But media just accounted for everything. So photography, videography, creative services, kind of held everything. And then it just stuck. And then before you know it, it's everywhere.
That's it. And have you had any other industry experience, or was motorsport the first?
So back in university, I went in there wanting to be an editor and came out of a producer.
Okay.
As you do. But I was very fortunate enough to work on a few different projects. So one of them, I got to work on a music video with Melissa Erpen, which is Ali Goulding's backup singer. And then I got to work with John Erin, which used to be the former Minister of Sports. So I kind of got to mix with a few people, work on a lot of projects. And coming out of that as well, when I was 15, I used to do community radio. So I used to panel operate and host shows, which for a 15-year-old was quite daunting because you're like, oh, wow. But that kind of gave me the boost in confidence for wanting to do something with journalism and do something with media back at the time. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. I love that story.
Yeah.
And so obviously you've had a diverse background at your tender age of 22 now.
Yeah.
And you've grown your team. So again, how many do you have in your team?
13.
And so what kind of services does VATTrack offer?
Yeah, so we have quite a few services. So first is event-based media. So that can be like live broadcasting or highlight videos of the event. There's also promotional club media. So that's video for online marketing for a club, category or event. There's advertising media, so short advertisements videos for social media, and also documentary media, which is probably the most popular. And that's based more on the individual as a subject, or can be a team, can be a category. When we're at events, we offer packages and bundles, which do include photography and other services. And then we do also have creative services. So that's printing, framing, and later this year we're launching our shop as well, which is super exciting. If a client contacts us, we genuinely create a package for them depending on their budget and what they're after specifically.
Yeah, so you can bespoke basically whatever the individual is up to.
Exactly.
So I guess probably from the competitor's perspective, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah,
so how do they know what services they kind of require that are best for building their brand and as everyone's ultimately after getting more sponsors? What would you recommend are those services that they could undertake?
Probably for our services? Yeah, probably the promotional video services. We've done a few of them throughout the years and they've always proved really popular, especially when they post them on social media to get people in. We tend to find a lot of categories do them to get to know more about their clubs, and then they usually hand them out to sponsors.
Yeah, so I always say to someone when they are sending out sponsorship proposals to try and be unique. So this is definitely one way that they could be a little bit
more unique.
Getting, I guess, all the information captured by video.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure everybody else is wondering, how much is it? Is it expensive for those kind of services? Like I know I kind of think video and think, oh my God.
Yeah.
And as you know already, the industry is quite expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't have to give us the specific price. But, for those kind of services or more specifically that promotional one, what kind of ballpark is that in?
Yeah, so we like to work within a budget. So if someone comes to us and they say, hey, we have X amount of money, we'll say, okay, we'll see what we can do for that. Basically, it all depends on the team that we have at the time, how many people they want on board, whether they want photography, videography. Industry prices do tend to be quite high because a lot of the time you're paying for the videographer as a service and then you're paying for their equipment or insurance cover. So there's a lot of additional fees. If someone comes to us with a budget, we'll try to do the best to work within that budget.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And what kind of categories and services do you look after?
Categories. That's changed throughout the years because obviously we're freelancers. We work with a range of people. We've looked after the XLs for a number of years. They started with us in 2017 and we're fortunate enough to work with XL Racing Australia. And they've looked after us since the very beginning. So that's been super wicked. We do or have looked after the saloon cars. They've been lovely, 944s. We have done a little bit with Formula Ford. So anyone and everyone can really get involved. There's no particular, even let's say if it's just a category, we're happy to do events. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at a track or have something to do with motorsport. It can also be outside of that as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, I saw that you've got some new clients coming on board.
Yes. It's always exciting.
How does your process work? How do they get in contact with you to find out more about, working with VATTRAC?
Yeah, so firstly, I'd suggest checking out our Facebook page, watching the videos that we've done over the years and seeing what best suits you. Then either on the website, on the Facebook page, we're easy, send us a message, tell us what you're after. And then our team will work together and figure out a bundle or package that best suits you. And then from then on, we'll do all the pre-production work and organisation to make sure that you have the best service available.
And so with your team, you pretty much serve all of Australia. Like what kind of locations do you service now?
Yeah, so we've basically done work all around Australia. Mainly we're in Melbourne, but if a client needs us to go to another state, we're more than happy to. We've done work in Melbourne, in Sydney, Queensland/Brisbane, Adelaide, and we've done work internationally as well with New Zealand and also China. So that was super.
Oh wow,
that was a fun one.
And so Miranda, if people think it's too expensive to start off with, do you have any tips or tricks about people doing their own content creation?
So other photographers and videographers out there?
No, well, just mums and dads, really.
Oh, mums and dads. I would say stick to being you. And sometimes as well, you don't need the highest quality camera to achieve that vision. We've found out throughout the years as well, mobile phones are perfectly fine. Usually as well, a tip is if you're a mum and dad and you have just a phone, put it on portrait mode, and usually low angle shot, the best, I would say.
Fantastic. Thank you for that tip. And you are around about everywhere.
Yes.
So where's the next race meeting that people maybe can tee up to meet with you to talk about your services?
Yeah, so that's exciting with us because we're freelancers, so we never really know where we're going next, but we hope to be at the Victorian State Series at Winton in March. But if clients want to come to us before that, we don't know.
Okay.
Well,
other than that, how can people try and get in contact with you maybe to possibly discuss your services?
Yeah, so just send us an email at thattrackmedia@gmail.com. Or you can go to our Facebook page and send us a message.
Fantastic. All of Miranda's, Vattrack's details will be in today's show notes. And do you have anything else you'd like to add to today's show?
Yes. So for anyone watching today, we have a special discount code, Vattrack Media at Motivate, for 15% off your very first media package.
Oh, fantastic, Duff. Thanks very much. And I'll have to possibly get back in touch with you because for our Motorsport Industry Conference, we were looking to be holding that in September. So again, would love to have you guys on board. And this year it is going to be face-to-face. And we're just tossing up between Sydney and Melbourne at this stage. But we're hoping to look in the venue by about mid-March. So we'll be in contact and hopefully see you there.
Very exciting. Thank you so much, Belinda.
No worries. Well,
really appreciate that.
On your achievements.
Thank you.
For being so young, for having such a big team. Thank you for promoting our sport.
Of course.
Helping our drivers become a lot more professional and helping with their branding online.
Thank you.
And guys, for those that wanted to get in contact with Miranda and the team at Vattrack, we'll have all those details in today's show notes. So thanks very much for listening. Thank you very much, Miranda, for joining me.
Thank you.
And have a good week.
Thank you. You too. See ya.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's show. I really hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. Now, remember, all the show notes with the links and the specials mentioned in today's show are available over at motivatetraining.com.au. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you could head to iTunes or Stitcher, type in Motorsport Coaching, subscribe, and leave us a review. Each week, I'll read them out and you'll go into a monthly draw to win a fantastic prize. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at motivatetraining.com.au or head over to our Facebook page at MotivateT. Until next time, take care.
Hi guys, I'm Miranda from Vattrack Media, and this week, if you tune into the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, you can find out everything to do with Vattrack Media and its services.